On, guys? Welcome back to the Fight Out podcast. Today we're doing a prediction show on this weekend's upcoming UFC fight night. Della Maddalena against Carlos Prates. It's a hell of a card, if you're asking me. I was looking at it then. It's on at a lovely, fucking heroic time for UK fans as well, by the way. Starting in the morning, Saturday morning, be done by Saturday afternoon. Lovely stuff. Perfect little day. I'm a Liverpool fan. Liverpool don't play till Sunday. It's not getting in the way of any football. We're here to definitely be talking some business. Just before we dive in, like I said, we're getting consistent over here now. Please let us know down below if you like what we're talking about. Comment, subscribe if you feel obliged to, and then we can see you on each and every video. So we'll start off with the main event, giving a bit of a prediction show going on. Della Maddalena against Carlos Prates. I think it's a very interesting fight, and I think it's going to be an absolute banger of a fight as well. I haven't had a look at any odds, so I'm just going to have a look now just to see, curiosity-wise, what's going on. Della Maddalena is evens, and Carlos Prates is 4-5. So Carlos Prates slight favourite, which would you expect potentially? Jack just come off a dominant loss to Islam Makhachev. Carlos Prates is coming off a win. A couple of wins now, isn't he? Most recently knocked out Leon, and before that he fought Jeff Neal, I believe. I think the two of them have got very similar kind of careers in the UFC to a point where, they kind of fought similar level opponents. They got to a certain level. Prates got beat by Ian Gary. Obviously, Jack Della Maddalena got beat by Islam Makhachev, arguably the pound for pound number one currently, so there's no shame in doing that. Before that, Jack was on an 18-fight win streak, and I think that is underestimated how good that is. On the way in, he was beating some top guys. Okay, it weren't the creme de la creme. He did get it. He got the title shot against Islam, with Islam moving up weight. He got the title shot against Bilal after a win over Gilbert Burns, and then he got the fight against Islam. Islam moving up weight kind of made it a bigger fight than it is. Otherwise, would Jack have ever been in there with Islam? If he weren't the champ at 170, obviously not. But I just think Jack is very, very high level striking, very, very dedicated, and an 18-fight win streak in this sport is absolutely crazy. He's beat Gilbert Burns, he's beat Kevin Holland, he's beat Bilal Muhammad, which for me was the most impressive. And now he's going to face a striker, someone that's going to stand and bang with him. Last time, people done that. Kevin Holland, he got absolutely pieced up, even though it was a split decision. I think he won that comfy. Carlos Prates, that was no slouch. You can see in my mind, I'm going up and down here. I've been saying Jack all week, and ever since the fight got announced, to be honest. But Carlos's knockout of Leon was pretty impressive. And look, who knows kind of what level Leon is at in 2026. He climbed the mountaintop, he looked out, he done everything that he set out to achieve. He's set for life, all of these things. Take me hat off to Leon, but he weren't that hungry up and comer that was barking at Darren Till, barking at Masvidal, barking at everyone at one point. It was not that Leon in there that forced Carlos Prates. And that's just kind of what's in my mind. I'm going to just go with Jack Della Maddalena, and I think it's going to be by a decision. Wouldn't surprise me if it was split decision, and I think this is going to be an absolute banger of a card. I think mindset-wise for Jack, it was interesting in the Islam fight because he was grimacing in pain throughout the rounds, and he was just grinding out that fight. It almost looked like at one point, to be honest, mindset-wise, he didn't want to be in there. Maybe there was something going into the camp that we don't know about, something going into the fight, but body language wise, it didn't look like Jack wanted to be in there, and I don't think he really fought his fight in there either. And then with that being said, he was fighting the pound for pound number one, Islam Makhachev, so there's no shame in doing that. I'm going Jack by decision, and then we're moving on further through the card. We have got Beneil Dariush against Salkild Keelan Salkild. I like this kid to be me, this Salkild. I started actually paying attention to him quite recent, to be fair. I'm not one that's been on him for years, which I know other fans have or whatever. I definitely am not claiming to be one of them at all. I think he looks very impressive. His record against a vet like Beneil Dariush has had probably, 30 fights, something like that. Let's have a look. Beneil Dariush he's had 31 fights. That was a good guess, to be fair. He's had 31 fights. Killian Scalfield is 11-1. And he's coming off some hype, he's coming off some big Back-to-back finishes coming in there. KO head kick, submission neck crank, and then a few decisions and stuff like that. I do think it is an interesting one. I think the sky is the limit for him. But Beneil Dariush is one crafty veteran. You cannot write him out in any way, shape, or form. I've been debating an underdog bet all week, and Beneil Dariush is one that I've been thinking, should he be on there? Because his odds are 7-2. I didn't know actually what odds he was, to be honest. 7-2 is fucking wide, by the way. 7-2 underdog against a 1-5 healing Salkeld. I mean, I'm still going with Salkeld. And to be honest, I think there could be money in the finish. Beneil Dariush is hard to finish, but this kid has definitely got a kind of touch of death going on. So by KO/TKO is 8-13. That's personally what I'm going to go with. I think he's just going to have too much for him on the feet. But Beneil could really be a coupon buster this weekend. He could be the dog bet to have a little look at if you fancy trying to go a little bit rogue and going a little bit out there. Next on the card is Tim Elliott against Steve Erceg. Now, looking at these odds right now, I'm very surprised that Steve Erceg is a 1-3 dog. 1-3 favourite. Tim Elliott is a 9-4 dog. What am I missing here? Why are they that wide? I mean, I wouldn't argue with any one of those two being the favourites, but I wouldn't say it's that wide. It's made me kind of think, what the fuck am I missing? I think Tim Elliott's dangerous. I think Steve Erceg has had a tough run as of recent. Like I said, I think Tim Elliott is definitely quite, dangerous, if you will. I've been thinking Tim Elliott all week, and I'm not going to change my mind now because I've seen the odds. I actually think this could be a nice builder for, the underdog bet at this point. So I am just going to go Tim Elliott to win. No other specification via method or anything like that. Just straight up Tim Elliott to win. After that, we've got Shamil Gazieva against Brando Perisic. I'm going Perisic. I like this Perisic. I think he's got the opportunity to become ranked. He looks like he is, on a decent run very early in his MMA career. Obviously, the big win over Louis Sutherland, who's also now fighting on this card, is a notable one. But yeah, I think since joining the UFC, he's had 2 wins. He's fought twice in 6 months. This is going to be his 3rd fight a couple of months after. In fact, it's only 1 month after. Wow, that is really short turnaround. I'm gonna go Brando Perisic, and I think, like I said, he does have the opportunity to become ranked if he does this in impressive fashion. Now, next on the card, we've got the fan favourite, Tai Tuivasa against Louis Sutherland, stepping up on short notice. You've got to give Louis credit for that. I think he is almost a lamb to the slaughter, though, to be honest. He wanted to find someone with a favourable kind of style, shall we say, and level/ability at this point. To Tai Tuivasa, where Tai can get a win. Tai hasn't had a great time as of recent. That's obviously very, very well documented. And I think Louis Sutherland, coming off a recent loss, TKO, you don't know how that's affected the brain. It was a month ago at the end of the day. You don't know where he's at. Is he doing it for the paycheck? Why is he in there that soon? He's obviously cleared by a doctor, and Tai is coming off 6 losses back to back. So I think it's a little bit of a lamb to the slaughter, to be honest. And I think Tai Tuivasa is going to be doing the business. Next on the card, Cam Rowson against Robert Brajek. What did he say? That Robert Brajek, it was always, never, ever, what was it? Never, ever believe in yourself and always give up, is what he said in his post-fight interview, didn't he? Obviously getting that the wrong way around. I mean, this is a toss-up for me. They're both, I think, very similar. Probably swaying towards Rowston, to be honest, or Rowston, however you want to pronounce it, which will give us a 6-fold all-in, because then you're moving into other prelims. You've got Gerald Meerschaft, by the way, at a 7-1 dog. Like, how can it be that wide? I know Jason Mulcoon is looking good as well, though. You've got Cody Thickness on there. Like, this card is decent, especially with it being at a fucking heroic time for UK fans. I think these Americans now kicking off saying I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. Now you know how we feel, man. Every single week in, week out, minus a few, we get up. And if we don't, I'll be honest, if I don't watch it live, which is rare, I'll set my alarm for 6 o'clock Saturday morning and I'll have it recorded. And the main event will probably just be concluding, or if it's a 5-round snooze fest, it might still be going on. But I'll go back to the start of the prelims and just watch it right through without checking my phone, without doing anything. Obviously, that's when I'm less active on Twitter, when I'm kind of doing that as well, or X, as they call it now. But yeah, this is how we feel. And now we've got a lovely, lovely, lovely time and one starting very early for us. The first fight on this, right, is 9:15 in the morning, UK time. And the main event is 2 p.m., I think. Yeah, 2 p.m. That is incredible. I mean, yeah, that I'm gonna keep the kind of prediction show to that 6 there. So just to recap, I've got Jack Della Maddalena winning in the main event. I think him and Carlos Prates are gonna go to war. I think Jack's just gonna have a little bit too much for him. He's a big boy, Jack, as well. I know Carlos was tall, but Jack's thick. He's got a very, boxing heavy style. Obviously, that's where Carlos's kind of success has been as well. I think Carlos, though, does have a little bit of what Faraz Zahavi used to call a touch of death about Conor McGregor. When he lands that left hand, people go asleep. Leon Edwards being the most recent victim of that, but I'm still going Jack. I'm going for Keelan Salkild to win by KO/TKO at 8-13 in the UK. I am going Brando Perisic to get the win over Gaziev at 8-11. I'm going Tuivasa to beat Louis Sutherland. If you wanted, you could also have a look at the KO/TKO odds. It's 5-6 for Tai on that. I am going Tim Elliott as an underdog on this bet to piece up Steve Erceg. I think Tim will get the better of him. I don't necessarily think it'll be a finish, to be honest. I think it'll probably be a 3-round decision, but I think Tim will be getting the best of him, especially in the striking department as well. I actually think he will as well. And then Cal Roston to beat Robert Brazek, bringing a 6-fold total to 40-1, which means if you put a fiver on that, you don't lose your money. You get £213 back because it's 41-1. So you're either here first. Let me know if you agree with me picks down below. We'll be dissecting the main event in particular as well this week. So make sure you look out for that video. We're back with the prediction shows. Let me know down below what type of content you want to see. And if you agree with my picks, most importantly, if you want to say I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm talking about, let's have an argument down in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one.